Welcome once again, dear travelers of emotions and loyal subscribers of Turkish Spotlight Secrets. We live in an age where love burns fast and fades even faster, yet some romances refuse to be reduced to a headline or a weekend rumor. There are tales that feel less like PR and more like destiny misbehaving. Tonight, the light falls on one of Turkey's most discussed and guarded hearts, Baris Baktaş. What's unspooling behind closed doors is no ordinary gossip. It's an unfolding saga of longing, responsibility, and the terrifying courage it takes to start again. At the center stands a man who believes he's met the love that will outlast the noise, Yagmar Yüksel. Between the history he cannot erase and the future he aches to claim, he has become the eye of the storm. Before we thread this needle and follow the pulse of this story, do a small thing that keeps our work alive. Subscribe, tap that bell so you don't miss a single chapter. And if you want to go deeper with us, the join button is ready for you. Are you prepared to enter the mind of a man in love and the heart of a woman who wants truth more than fairy tales? Let's begin. The entertainment scene, accustomed to glossy smiles and rehearsed answers, has been rattled by something rarer, candor. Baris Baktaş, who has always kept his private life sealed like a vault, allowed a sliver of light to escape. The words whispered in quiet corners of Istanbul aren't lines from a script, they're the confessions of a human being standing at a threshold. He has reportedly admitted, with unsettling certainty, that he's discovered the ultimate love of his life. Those who know him say he doesn't use words like that lightly. And if there's a name that fits the shape of that declaration, it is Yagmar Yüksel, the woman whose presence has turned the abstract idea of forever into something he can hold. But let's not pretend declarations erase complications. Those close to Baris call his current state a stormy duality. On one side, he walks buoyed by newfound clarity, the electricity of realizing that the path ahead may finally make sense. He talks about a future that feels less like a guess and more like a promise, and that future, in his mind, carries Yagmar's name like a vow. On the other side, he drags chains forged by time and responsibility. This isn't simply about an ex. This is about co-parenting, about the mother of his children, about daily logistics that don't leave room for clean cuts. He insists the bond there is now strictly parental, a boundary drawn for the sake of the little ones. But when emotions are raw, when history is layered and messy, can anyone truly separate father from former partner with surgical precision? Now turn your gaze to the other lead in this living drama, Yagmar Yüksel. For her, this love is not a whirlwind fantasy. It's a trial of the heart and mind. Imagine her position, loving a man who carries a past that doesn't fit neatly into a box. Those in her circle describe a woman both warm and vigilant. She is not short on feeling, she is abundant in caution. She knows public adoration can evaporate overnight, and private wounds take longer to heal than anyone admits. When Baris spoke about forever, her first reply wasn't a fairy tale yes. It was silence measured and protective. She does not collect promises for the sparkle, she seeks proof. For someone as observant and emotionally intelligent as Yagmar, the shadow of a previous home cannot be waved away. The question that keeps her awake is disarmingly simple: has he truly closed that door? Or will she always be bracing herself to live on the edge of a family dynamic that doesn't belong to her? Friends say she watches closely. Every call about homework or holidays, every visit that stretches longer than planned, every sudden change in tone, she notices. She isn't policing, she's reading the landscape to decide whether the ground is steady enough to build on, or whether it will swallow her dreams whole. She wants to believe in the promise of them, but belief requires evidence, and evidence takes time. Meanwhile, new voices have joined the chorus, the Baktaş family. Far from indifferent observers, they've quietly made their feelings known. In hushed conversations, relatives have described seeing a lightness return to Baris when Yagmar is near, a clarity that had been missing. There are hints, just whispers, that the family not only approves but is nudging the future along, even offering to help choreograph the practicalities of a wedding that would be kept far from prying eyes. Their support could be the anchor he needs to declare a new chapter without apology. But he understands that family blessings alone are not the bridge to Yagmar's certainty. He needs a gesture that speaks louder than reassurance. This is where the story takes on a cinematic glow. Gossip columns have crackled with rumors of a grand proposal, not a predictable dinner with roses, but something more ambitious. The talk is of a secluded place with meaning to both of them, a setting chosen not for spectacle but for truth. And here's the detail turning even the skeptics into hopefuls. Whispers say that Baris has been sneaking away for private lessons. In what? Dance. Yes, Turkish Spotlight Secrets viewers, picture a man known for his quiet intensity counting steps late into the night, determined to meet the woman he loves at her rhythm. He wants to tell her, with movement more honest than words, that he's willing to learn, to adapt, to be led and to lead, that her heartbeat has become his music. But in this choreography of hope, there is another melody that cannot be muted, the perspective of the mother of his children. How does she feel watching the father of her little ones rush toward a new marriage? There are practical calls about schedules, and there are moments where old habits threaten to cloud new boundaries. Jealousy? Acceptance? A calm we haven't yet seen? No one can say for certain. What we do know is that Baris has tried to be brutally honest. He has said, in his own way, I can't erase my past, not from my memory and certainly not from my responsibilities. It's a truth that stings. For Yagmar, loving him means living with that truth, the perpetual presence of what came before at the edges of her life. It's the full package, and she knows it. Online, the debate has become a cultural tug-of-war. On one side stand the idealistic romantics, the fans who have watched every glance between them, convinced that some people are stitched together by fate and nothing can unthread them. For these believers, obstacles are mere rites of passage. True love conquers all, they write, posting clips of stolen looks and soft smiles. On the other side stand the cautious realists, joined by those who prioritize traditional family order. They argue that happiness built on ashes may still smell of smoke, that separation with children isn't a wound you patch in a season. Is this fair to Yagmar, they ask. Can a man really begin anew without cleaning the emotional slate? Every new photo, every sighting, every small statement from a friend becomes a flashpoint, viral for a day and then absorbed into the larger narrative. The present moment is a strange equilibrium, tense, but holding. Baris is done with saying I love you and leaving it at that. He wants to pour those words into a structure you can touch, a life you can sign. The ring he's chosen is more than a sparkle, it's a signal flare for a new beginning, a little circle meant to close a painful loop and open a wider horizon. And what of Yagmar? Those around her sense a shift, not a reckless surrender but a cautious thaw. The fear hasn't vanished, it has softened under the pressure of witnessing consistent effort. She has seen something in his gaze that won't let her dismiss him, the look of a man who understands what he has found and what he risks losing. Perhaps, just perhaps, hope is edging out hesitation. Perhaps she is ready to stand at that cliff and trust the leap. The scene being prepared, if the whispers are true, is part fairy tale, part confession. Imagine a hidden courtyard washed in late light, a record player breathing out a song that means something only to them, and a man who spent weeks stumbling through counts until he could move without thinking, until his body understood what his heart already knew. He will ask her to share not just nights that shimmer but mornings that demand patience, not just premieres and spotlights but the ordinary days where love proves itself in small, stubborn ways. He will ask for partnership, not possession, forever, not a season. But the riddle remains, can three realities coexist, his duty as a father, his loyalty to the story that shaped him, and his hunger to write a new one with Yagmar? Emotional architecture of this size requires uncommon strength from all involved. It asks the past to behave, the present to be brave, and the future to accept that perfection is a myth. If they manage it, they won't simply survive scandal. They'll redefine what moving on can look like in real life, not in a scripted ending. Friends of Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we are watching a human story in motion. Beyond fame, beyond the flashbulbs, this is about the hunt for happiness, the weight of promises, and the dangerous beauty of trying again when it would be simpler to stay safe. Should Yagmar say yes and accept a love that comes with weathered edges and permanent responsibilities? Or is the shadow of what came before too tall to step out of? Tell us what you think. Your voice matters here, because you see what the headlines miss. If you want to help us keep following the truth behind the curated feeds, consider hitting join. It may be small on your side of the screen, but it keeps our lights on and our investigations sharp. Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground. We'll be watching that secret proposal and waiting to see whether a new chapter opens with a whispered yes. Until next time, family.